Evening all. So I get quite a lot of questions about how I get stable footage on my videos, especially on the bike or when I'm doing repairs. Most of the time it's the GoPro Hero 5 Black, which I think has amazing electronic image stabilization built in. So how that works is that it can shoot at 4K resolution, so huge, and normally I record at 1080, so that's quite a small canvas compared to what it can actually capture, and then it moves that smaller canvas within its whole capacity to stabilize the image rather than doing anything with the lens or all that kind of thing. So largely I'm really happy with it. I think it's amazing for on the bike. I think your head lends a little bit of stability to the image because naturally your body and your head are taking a little bit of the shock out of the road and the vibrations out of the bike. So it's probably not quite as good if it's directly attached to the bike. But yeah, it's great. However, yesterday I noticed I uploaded a video which was about some of the mods I'm planning, and in that video I've noticed that there's a few glitches, and I've traced it back, and I wondered if it happened when I uploaded the video, whether there's a problem. So I went into Premiere Pro, which I use to edit most of my videos, and then I looked at the raw file that I got on my machine from the GoPro, and all of them had the same glitching. So for some reason yesterday there's just this one frame. I'll show you now and you can see what I mean. It's actually not Anyway, it's so frustrating when you get stuff like that, because you might have spent ages making a video and then when you get back in there's some problems with the footage and you either have to reshoot it or try and edit it out, or just upload it as I did and just accept that it's not quite as good as you'd hoped. Most of the time when I use the GoPro I'm on the bike, and I wondered if it was because I was walking around that perhaps the footsteps, sometimes if I was moving my weight from one side to the other, perhaps that was enough to, you know, knock the stabilization out. But I don't think that's the case, because this evening when I put my helmet on before I left work, I jumped up and down a few times to see if I could replicate it. And there's absolutely no problem whatsoever. The stabilization is awesome. So I'm still trying to track down what the problem is, and I think either it's something to do with the fact that normally I shoot in super view, which is like the widest view possible, and I've changed to wide because the video that I was making, I was just talking around the bike, so I didn't really need that huge field of view that's so good when you're actually out riding. The other thing is it was quite a dark evening, and if you're shooting in 60 frames per second, which I sometimes do so that I can slow it down in Premiere Pro and you get nice smooth slow motion at 30 frames per second. So if you're shooting at 60 frames per second on this and it detects that it's a dark environment, it actually needs to kind of really go down to 30 frames per second in order to have enough time on each exposure to absorb enough light to get usable footage. So it has an automatic setting where if it detects that it's dark, it changes without you going into the interface or anything. It just, while it's shooting, changes to 30 frames per second. I wonder if, because I was like on the cusp of it being dark, whether it was switching between 60 and 30, and that's why I was getting the glitch in. So I need to do a few more tests basically to figure out what the problem is. Maybe I'll update the firmware, reset the settings, format the memory card and see if it happens again. But I would love to hear if anyone's had the same problem and how they fixed it. I've watched a few videos, not quite figured it out yet, and also even if it's on previous GoPros like the Hero 4, perhaps there's a similar thing present and I'm just doing something wrong. So please do comment below if you have any experience with this problem, know how to fix it, or any ideas about how I might troubleshoot it. And if you want to see more videos like this, then click subscribe. Woo!